What we learned from Liverpool versus Manchester City, a tactical analysis. Before this video starts, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you don't miss out on any of the transfer analysis, season previews and fantasy football videos coming up over the next few weeks, and give this video a like if you enjoy it, and see if you can get the quiz question right in the comment section below. Also check out the video I've just released on how Mandzukic could fit into Manchester United tactically, and turn on notifications because I will be releasing some fantasy football tips videos in the coming days. The curtain raiser to the Premier League season at Wembley was played between Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool and Pep Guardiola's domestic kings Manchester City. City lined up in a 4-3-3 with Bravo in goal, Otamendi and Stones at centre-back, Zinchenko at left-back and Walker on the right, with the new signing Rodri sitting in behind Kevin De Bruyne and David Silva, whilst the front three consisted of Leroy Sané on the left, Bernardo Silva on the right and Raheem Sterling through the middle. Liverpool started with their usual narrow 4-3-3 with Arnold and Robertson at fullback, Gomez next to Van Dijk, Fabinho in midfield behind Henderson and Wijnaldum, with Origi on the left, Firmino central and Salah starting from the right side. One thing that was evident from the start of the game was the effect that the new rule about the ball not having to come out of the box from a goal kick had on Manchester City's build-up. Whereas before the rule change, Pep's centre-backs would split to the sides of the box, with the deep line midfielder moving in between them to the edge of the box. In this game, Otamendi was a left-sided centre-back. He would drop into the box alongside Bravo. Stones would position himself at the top of the box on the right, and Rodri, the deep line central midfielder, rather than playing in between the two centre-backs, would be vertically in line with Otamendi. What this meant was that when Liverpool tried to press in a front three, instead of Firmino, the centre forward, man-to-man pressing Rodri, he was now left to apply the pressure to Otamendi, as Rodri positioned himself between Salah and Firmino, meaning that if Salah had pressed Otamendi, he would have left a passing option to either Rodri or Zinchenko. This caused Liverpool's front three a problem, as if Salah remained narrow, Otamendi had an option open to Zinchenko, but if he positioned himself too wide, the passing lane open to Rodri would have been left open, and a ball could have easily been played into Rodri to turn out and play through midfield. In the first half, City dominated possession, with Rodri being crucial to this. The Spaniard is excellent in terms of his press resistancy, being able to receive the ball under pressure while being composed and having the ability and vision to be able to keep the ball and advance a build-up play, enabling City to play out of Liverpool's intense man-to-man press. We also saw Claudio Bravo being used as a ball-playing keeper. When Liverpool had dropped off into their shape and Stones or Otamendi had stable possession, Bravo would move out of his goal to play horizontally in line between the two centre-backs. This allowed Rodri to stay in the deep line midfielder position rather than dropping in between the centre-backs, which is what Fernandinho did last season, which enabled City to position more players higher up the pitch. Something different that also caught my eye was that Bravo seemed more willing to play long balls over the top of Liverpool's high line, particularly to exploit Alexander-Arnold's weakness in defending high balls and using Sané's pace to run in behind him. I thought Klopp got his tactics wrong in terms of how high he was willing to allow the Liverpool backline to push forward. When City broke through Liverpool's narrow press and had De Bruyne or Silva running in behind the midfield, instead of dropping off to negate the runs in behind closing down the space, Liverpool's backline would repeatedly try to play the offside trap by standing their ground and waiting for Jesus or Sterling to run offside. This happened more frequently in the second half when Liverpool's players were more fatigued and their man-to-man press wasn't as sharp. On numerous occasions, De Bruyne was able to thread through a pass in behind for Sterling or Jesus to run onto. It seemed like Gomez and Arnold were uncomfortable being asked to hold their positions, and on a few occasions it was only the pace of Gomez and Virgil van Dijk that stopped City having a one-on-one shooting opportunity. Fabinho and Henderson both had poor games. I thought that Henderson was sloppy on the ball in the first half, losing it unnecessarily, and Fabinho didn't have the same energy and aggression in the tackle, which meant that he struggled to break up the play in the centre of midfield. Especially in the second half, Mohamed Salah seemed like Liverpool's biggest offensive weapon, cutting in from the right side of the box and shooting on the side, which happened 4 or 5 times, but all the shots seemed to be going towards Bravo's near post. City seemed to be exploiting one of Liverpool's few defensive weaknesses, which was the positioning of their fullbacks. With City's wide players Bernardo Silva and Raheem Sterling stretching the pitch, it meant that when they received the ball, both Robertson and Arnold had dilemmas. When they moved out to press them, they would open up space between them and their centre-back, which would allow Kevin De Bruyne or Silva to make a penetrating run in behind them, and when the simple ball was played through, they would have a one-on-one with the centre-back and could whip in a cross to find Jesus or Sterling. City's defensive weaknesses was twofold. At left-back with Zinchenko, Salah was constantly looking to drag him infield before spinning in behind him to run into the space. This encouraged Liverpool to play long direct balls over to that side, as like Alexander-Arnold, Zinchenko's positioning from these situations wasn't convincing, and his one-on-one defending against Salah left a lot to be desired. The other weakness was when Liverpool pressed high and managed to win the ball back in the build-up phase. John Stones and Walker were often guilty of imprecise passes into the midfield or playing passes to players who were in bad positions to receive the ball. When Liverpool won the ball back, they looked to play killer passes into the spaces between the fullbacks and centre-backs for Salah, Firmino or Origi, but couldn't take any of their chances. So overall, what can we take from this game? Well, the new rule change will aid the likes of Manchester City, who look to play out from the back up against an aggressive press. The acquisition of Rodri will allow City to play through the press, as he is far more composed on the ball and can play those low incisive passes into De Bruyne and Silva a lot better than Fernandinho could last season. Liverpool's high line trying to play an offside trap could cause problems for them, especially up against quick forwards who look to make runs in behind Gomez and Arnold, and the space that develops between the fullbacks and centre-backs is also an issue, with Robertson and Arnold not fully aware of how to position themselves to cut off that simple pass in behind. Salah's shooting needs to be more selective, and Naby Keita needs to start in midfield, as with both Henderson and Wijnaldum, Liverpool lack creativity on the ball and become over-reliant on attacking movements down the flanks from the fullbacks. In the end, City won on penalties after a 1-1 draw. Both goals came from second balls into the box, first Sterling before Matip equalised. Despite their defensive frailties, these two do seem like they'll be the most likely challengers for the title, and expect to see both of them in the 1 and 2 positions by the end of the season. Thank you for watching. Remember to like and share the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss out on any of the season previews, transfer analysis and fantasy football videos coming up over the next few weeks. Also, I'll be releasing my season predictions at the end of this week, so subscribe so you don't miss out on that.